questions for you. For young people who may be interested in language technology, but are unsure where to start, with your experience in this project and also with Data Science Nigeria, what opportunities exist in the field? What are some of the biggest challenges that still needs to be addressed to ensure that the African languages are included in the digital world?
Okay, thank you very much. First, I want to apologize. I have a hard stop just exactly now. I've been on the call. We had some network challenges trying to get our call through. Now, I'll just answer the question in 1 minute and sign out. Basically, for every young person, what we have now, we have guidelines. We have standardized methodology, which is available for people to follow through. And that is what the project we've done with the University of Pretoria and the team at DSFIS would do for any young person who wants to start. So you are literally not starting from the scratch. You can live it. Number two, there are communities, from Deep Learning Indaba to Indaba X community to Masakani, various learning groups, including Data Science Nigeria. There's so many groups emerging. And third is the fact that it is a collaborative effort. You cannot just rely on the fact that I'm a linguist or I'm a computer scientist. There's a need to have an interlock with experts. Don't just work in your silos. Seek for domain experts in the area where you are collecting data. Look for linguists so that they're able to guide your computational knowledge and be able to get it to work in context. So those are the things I would leave behind for any young person. And if there's any time for us to digitize our data, this is a time, because you can use it to create a lot of amazing products that can solve a lot of problems on the continent. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm wishing you an amazing time in the remaining section of the workshop. Over.
Thank you so much. There was a hand online. Was it Mr. Kenny? Not sure. Okay.
It was my hand. My name is Grant McNulty.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead. Yes, clear.
Great, thank you. This is an interesting discussion. I just wanted to add, I have worked on various projects, on African language projects, using digital historical archives with various orthographies and dialects, much like one of the earlier commentators who spoke passionately about, African languages and culture and history, and the varying versions that you find in historical archives. I just wanted to make a comment. I also run public projects that where we train people to record and share local history and culture and knowledge online and in African languages. And within these two projects, the kind of historical archives project and the public project, which is called eAfrica, there is a lot of variability. So there we would include dialects like Isimpondo, as I mentioned in the chat, or perhaps Isibaka, and those there are different language components and also different aspects of culture and history and customs, within those languages, embedded in those languages, which some people might just see as dialects of more standardized languages like Zulu or Xhosa. But I thought I should just make the point that perhaps, someone mentioned what they thought might be an unpopular point about the economy of training models. Perhaps standardized language could be used to, train these models, and then these dialects and variation. I think there's still a place for them. Perhaps there's still a place for them online in digital archives or in digital public infrastructure that presents this variation. And the point there is to say perhaps that LLMs in the first instance might not be able to capture all of this nuance as we're trying to develop these models and for low resource languages like African languages. As a first step, we may not be able to capture all of that nuance and the detail and the richness of languages and culture and history.
Thank you so much, Grant. Colleagues, with all due respect, can I request that we extend this to 12:30? I know we're supposed to end at 12, but due to the technical challenges we faced, we had some delays. So is that fine with everyone? Thank you so much. There's a hand.
Thanks. I think what I wanted to say adds on to the point that's recently been raised. I'm Michael Marie Linden. I'm Chief Language Practitioner for English. I'm South African individual. And every time I tell people this, they fall off their chairs. English is not standardized. It is not standardized. It's not. English is not standardized. We have many varieties of English: British English, American English. We also have South African English, which is my first language. But this involves is part of my language. Exactly. The efficiency when it comes to English doesn't come from standardization. The only standard we have in English is the dictionary, of which there are many varieties. Oxford, Cambridge, what's that one? Merriam-Webster. There's so many. Efficiency in English comes from pervasive record. Now, that is tied to an unfortunate legacy. But the reality is that English is so pervasive because we have so many written texts. Now that does present a challenge. It points out that the languages are dealing with not necessarily primarily written. So that's going to be a challenge for us when we're looking at, how can we accurately reflect our culture, because that is what we're doing when we're looking at languages, when it's not primarily necessarily written. And then also, in terms of technology, that's going to be very complicated because if we look at English and we say, actually, we've just got a bunch of varieties that are well recorded. And that's what gives it the efficiency and pervasiveness.
When it comes to recording, our languages, recording our languages in terms of technology in large language models, we want to have variety. We want to have the full spectrum of the language, Sotho sa Leboa, in all of its varieties. But now that's going to be a lot of hard work for our technical experts who are going to have to do a lot more than just, but it is maybe an idea. Yes, there are standards that there are spelling and orthography rules produced by national language bodies. There are our national lexicography units that have dictionaries. A lot of it's written, it's not digitized. That's also going to be a lot of work. This may be a starting point, but I would like to point out that looking at the full variety is perhaps, when we think about the future, something that we could really strive towards so that we are inclusive and that we are trying to reflect the diversity. As a last point, for example, I really would love you to go look at the dictionary for South African English. It is actually digitized. You can just type in dictionary for South African English. They've got an amazing collection of South African English words. It's recognized because it's in our dictionary. And they don't just have the word, they have the pronunciations and all the sub-varieties of South African English, because it's not just white South African English. There's black South African English, there's Indian South African English. And when we look at the word like project, I might say project, you might say project. Same word, same value. So yeah, English is unstandardized.
Actually, arguing against that point, because even English at some stage was not a written language, and I think there is a risk of us self-essentializing and remaining in a state in which we say our languages are non-written, and then we relate to them as an oral language when all language began orally and developed. Our languages are developing too because they're alive. So I think it's important not to keep them stuck in time as well.
Our key then is lexicography rather than standardization. This is where your project is so important, getting out and collecting the answer.
with communities. When you collect that data, you're adding to the lexicon of the language, and it's the only point that English has had. It was its starting and end point, and it keeps on collecting. I love that bootylicious was added to the dictionary about 15 years ago now, but every year there's a new word or two that's added.
Thank you for those insights, and thank you for the dialogue that just happened. The ease hand or different hands. I'll start with you, Jessica, and then I will go to everybody. And seems like I've run a conversation in the room. It brings up a whole lot of things all the time. I'm going back to Tsidi, who's asked, I think you mentioned, is our languages, are they rich, or I think you mentioned economic transaction. Yes, yeah. Something to that effect. And I think what we should actually look at is what our languages are actually what we make them to be. So who we are and how confident we are in them and how proud we are is what our languages will cost. You know, English, for example, came in because it came in. It was it's not like we didn't have languages. We had languages, but it came in and it dominated because it was proud of itself. The people that came in and brought it showed that that was the only way to go. They made it the demand. They made it the way of life. Right now, we're conversing in English instead of our own languages, still showing that exactly that. If I want to be able to grow in this space or relate in this space, I need to speak in English. Otherwise, I'll lose the room, and I might as well step outside. So we need to actually then look at it differently. We need to start thinking to ourselves and saying, let's not fight what we have from our neighboring languages who have succeeded, which is English and Afrikaans. They have succeeded. Afrikaans was created here in South Africa, for example. English was brought in. So we've got two examples there that we could definitely work from. And we always seem to be trying to figure out another way instead of just saying, listen, but how did that work? How did they come in and dominate us? Let's go back and try and rebuild that. And guys, we've been talking about this for years now. And now we're tackling with the issue of the different dialects or the different regional languages. isiZulu, for example, in northern isiZulu, south, and all that. Now we're tackling with that instead of us doing something, starting from an original, then differentiating with, okay, this is from this region, this is from that region, and growing from there. We're fighting this language now. We're fighting their language and saying, but people don't agree. And yes, we're not all going to agree because we're growing, we're developing, and we're not standing still. But we choose to stand still with developing our languages in the space that we need to. Also, let's partner with industries because that's where the demand comes in. We're trying to do these things in silos where academia is saying this, we're going to create language in academics, and industry is saying we're going to create language in industry so that people can, relate and whatever. But we actually, at the end of it all, need to come together. We're confusing our students, Doc, where you're saying you want your students to be able to grow and go into an industry so that they can use it as work. But we're not doing that. We're not doing that as lecturers. We're not doing that as the institution to say, let's link our students to this place. When we tell our students, let's tell them the whole story. Are we really then proud of our languages? Do we see it succeeding? We should really look at that and ask ourselves that question. Yeah. Thank you so much. Can you just please introduce yourself?
Sorry. My name is Jessica Mabaso from Sadela under the Escalator program.
Okay. Matiti, just a quick one, then there's a hand in the back.
No, I just want to say, just caveat, I could be wrong, but the Japanese, when you get to their world, they do business in Japanese. Mm-hmm. When you come to their country, they're not saying, oh, you speak English, we're going to do, no. They induct you in their culture and you do that as they do it because they're confident and proud of themselves. They're not asking people, what do you want? They are dictating, which is what English did.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for those remarks.
Good day, everyone. My name is Lona Nokholela. I'm from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. I am a first-year master's student in media and cultural studies. So my research sits at the intersection of language and media. So media plays a very important role when it comes to language. As my brother here mentioned, that when you watch enough anime, you end up understanding Japanese. So what made me interested in what I'm researching in is because learners in South Africa in grade 4, they are unable to read for meaning, right? And that is primarily because our pedagogies focus on one way of teaching instead of using other ways of teaching. Some learners are not text oriented, they have audiovisual learners. So now when we are building these AI models, I think it is very important for us to include speech and cultural nuances by visuals, right? Because there is a lot that is carried by those. And also we need to consider cultural sensitivity when it comes to translating our languages, because some things cannot be directly translated. A lot is lost in translation, as it was mentioned earlier. I think Dr. Chidi was talking about Nusi, Noka. Sorry, I am Xhosa, ndithetha isiXhosa. I'm from the Eastern Cape originally. So there is a sentence in isiXhosa that I would like to make an example with. Uze, uze, uze. Yeah. That is one word. Yeah. It's written the same, but it has 3 different meanings. Yeah. Uze, you should. Uze, come. Uze, naked. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to AI or digital models, are they going to be able to pick up that the nuance in the language? So these models, as I am trying to build a story that is educational, child friendly, so that our children can be able to watch content that is produced by South Africans for South African children to learn our languages, because mostly now our children are watching Cocomelon and Miss Rachel. Most South African children cannot speak their home languages. They speak in American accents. So it is very important for us to use the technologies that are available to us to build stories that speak to our children. And our children are very important, are at the center of this conversation, because they are the ones that are going to be carrying these languages and decolonizing our education as we are intending. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a hand from the lady at the back?
Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Carmen Lowe. I'm a development professional with a specialization in program evaluation. I currently work as the project coordinator for the COSAP program. It's with the Department of Family Medicine. And thank you so much for making this platform open to so many of us. I think I want to just give a different context outside of making the business case for African languages. I think that I'm from civil society. There's a community social capital engagement case.
Sure.
All of the work here has spoken about ethics when you do community engagement. Similarly, when you do development programs, there's absolutely an ethics guideline that and of course in an African context, communities will remind you of that ethical guideline, isn't it? They'll make a lot of noise in how you engage with communities around development projects. And we had a workshop last week, and I had to say to my colleagues, these are big concepts, and they layered in political nuance when you do social justice work with communities, and it's participatory. And in a post-apartheid and post-colonial African context, that innate internal journey with my power within as an African in a post-colonial context, you really want to honor that and elevate it. And so for me, and now we're going into this digital technological milieu in the world. And I think on the one hand, there's making the business economic case, there's that currency, but I think ethically, as development practitioners, we absolutely have a duty to extend everything we know in terms of community engagement ethically as researchers, to include language justice, inclusivity, and expression. I'm from Cape Town originally, so I get the closer English Afrikaans, and loving Gauteng because you've got this SADC regional linguistic tapestry that's just gorgeous. I wish I understood better. And we are dialects, 3 petty dialects, different expressions in all of the languages within SADC that were in the room to express a certain core ethos of our program. And so it's really lovely to be here. I'll definitely follow up with all of you. But thank you very, very much.
Morning, colleagues. My name is Sarah Kumalo, and I'm a teacher by profession. I'm really thrilled to be here. To be honest, the reason I came here is because I also have a challenge. I'm a teacher and I'm also doing my master's. My focus is basically looking at the learners with the learning barrier. Mostly, I've realized that I'm a high school teacher, by the way, but my learners are struggling a lot with the language. Ne? I teach geography. Normally, what I do, I focus mostly on ICT related things. I use slides, and then I normally also use videos to try and explain whatever that I taught in class and share it on the groups and all of that. Because I've realized that sometimes when I'm talking, maybe I might be talking too fast or my learner's concentration span might be a bit shorter. So once they get home, they can watch the videos where I'm explaining everything again. But now the problem is still the language. So I tried to take the videos and try to put them in Setswana because I'm currently teaching in Karankua, but I'm originally Zulu, so sometimes I don't know if that thing's the right thing or not. And then I grew up in Soshanguve where my Setswana is not actually Setswana that is written in class. It's because ke Setswana sa ko kasi, if I were to put it that way. It's Pitoli. So now, if I ask my Setswana teacher, Memudise is my colleague, she's very good in Setswana, and she'll tell me like, "O reng pilapi." She doesn't even know what I'm saying. And I thought, like, I got it. But then the language has been a bit of a problem. I thought I speak Setswana, I thought I speak Zulu. And then every time I meet the Zulu people, they're like, Utin, because I thought the Zulu in Sosha is the one that was supposed to be speaking. So now I'm really struggling to meet my learners halfway. Sure. And then I feel like I'm not doing justice to them because I feel like if I taught and I've done my work and I got the salary, that's it. But then what type of people that am I trying to produce? Sure. Because I don't want people that are just certificated and not educated because they're trying to cram whatever that I taught them, but they do not understand what I'm doing. Sure. So that is my struggle at the moment. So thank you so much for the invite. I'll keep in touch so that I make sure that I break this breach that we are currently challenged with. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll just finish the side, then you go to the other side. You guys can go on this side. The lady in chief.
Oh. Hi everyone. I also didn't introduce myself. My name is Ndabo Uwani and I am Dr. Chi's student, currently doing my first year. And yeah, all I can say is that I'm fascinated with like the conversation that we are having here. And what I want to know is that since we are having this conversation and we are in this room, there's few people, how then are we like all willing to take this conversation out of this room? Because we may say a lot of things like industrializing our languages and making sure that you teach your learners. Now we have teachers coming with a lot of different challenges, and I'm also doing education. So how then like will somebody like me be equipped enough to like go out of this room and make sure that this conversation will be like carried out throughout? Because now we have like honestly, I also don't know Sepedi mara a ke tsebe gabotse. And sometimes I'll be speaking with people Sepedi re ke fihla gae nna ke re yo a itse ditlhako tsaka mara ditlhako ke eng ka re ditlhako ke ditlhakwana tša kgomo. So now I must say diet and I'm like because I'm from Mamelodi, I'm originally from Mamelodi, I grew up in Mamelodi, and now our languages are like diluted in a sense because now nna ke itse le ditlhako and then ke fihla gae Limpopo they say ditlhako ke ditlhako tša kgomo. So I must say dieta. So now how do we actually like make sure that this thing doesn't end in here? All of these ideas that everyone is like coming up with, how then like are we all willing to like take this thing out of the room and make sure that younger generations like us will learn and also make sure we're in the future
things will be like, ish, yeah, I don't know, but yes, yeah, things will be generalized and make sure that our languages are not only spoken, but we have them in books. We also have Sepedi dictionaries, not only English, but Sepedi dictionaries, Rebeli dictionary, yeah, maybe Sipulani. See, but Sepedi sa kai kai, Sepedi sa kai kai. Kore, like everything, ish, yes, you heard me say that.
So mine, it's not a question, it's more of a statement. Adding on to what she said. I'm also Dr. Chidi student. I'm a second year political science student. To add on to what she said, so I have these friends who are my colleagues from Amari, which is a research institute. For my research, I was supposed to research on the ordinary Spedi speaker as a site of linguistic transformation. On this, it is where I was supposed to explore on Sepedi and how it changes. And if I read like a little bit of the abstract, it was like, this focus centers the average Sepedi speaker as the primary agent in the evolution of the language. Rather than locating language in only traditional authority state recognition or educational institutions, the following approach argues how transformation occurs through ordinary people navigating historical change, migration, and social mobility. As I tried to get into it, I realized that I need help. And what great place to start than a room full of people willing to help and talking about this. So, to what she said, it just made me realize that this is the right space for to also explore more on this topic. As much as we are talking about digitizing language, language changes, language moves from one place, migration happens, history happens, entertainment, all these factors that affect language and culture daily. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, my name is Clement. I'm a law student. Mine is a question, but is about a challenge, and I may seek your view on that. So I'm from Ghana, from a small tribe called Anyi. I live by the border, and we were divided by the artificial, boundaries. So those boundaries have divided the same people. I have families in Cote d'Ivoire, but I'm in Ghana. Those in Ghana, we are a minority, and those in Cote d'Ivoire, a majority, and they speak French, and they've written our language in Cote d'Ivoire. We in Ghana, just a minority. We speak English. So the question is, do we adopt the French orthography or the French grammar in Ghana, or should we also come up with our own language based on the English alphabet? Because it is the same language, everything is the same, but they are in Cote d'Ivoire, they've developed it, and we are in Ghana, we speak English. I speak French as well, but what about those who cannot speak it? So what would you advise under such circumstances?
Wow. I mean, I'm not sure if I should respond because so many people have asked questions, and if I respond there, then I have to go there. But what I can say is, studying there, yes. I spoke about Africans more than anything now having the agency to build the narrative around their own languages. And because I teach grammar and we fight with my students about this, grammar is important, grammar is complicated, but I think it can even get simplified when people create their own, because they're in Cote d'Ivoire, they're doing French. Whose responsibility is it to now write your own grammar? Whose responsibility is it? Because we have to speak of accountability at the same time. Like in the case of English, they did their work. In the case of Afrikaans, they did their work. Do they really have to do African languages? No, we have to. So it starts somewhere. So she said I should respond to everything. But I mean, a lot was said in the room. But in summing up, I can say, I pledge myself to be part of the community. I pledge myself to listen. I pledge myself that if there's anything that I can do within my ability or anything that is within my influence, I'm more than happy to engage and talk and work towards building this language communities that work, you know, because they have to work. But I want to appreciate the fact that language changes, language moves, migration also within the country. Our languages have moved from Limpopo to Mamelodi to Tembisa. We need to acknowledge that and meet those languages where they are. And in that, no one is disregarding anyone, but everyone is trying to represent themselves. And I think we are all within our right to do that. I'm trying to look at the faces that were saying something in trying to sum up, but I think that's all I can say with all the pledges that I give. My email, it's there, or I can share email, and then we can always engage, invite us as well in, events or engagements that we have, and then we have this thought-provoking conversations. And to my students, I always say we leave the BA, we go to honors, we go to M, and then we also write these theses in our languages. We start writing research in CPD. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, we'll take 2 last questions. We are now out of time. We have exhausted the site. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Program Director, to remember me. My name is Kulani Zwane from Tshwane University of Technology, a Master of Language Practice candidate. My Program Director, I don't want to digress, but I just want to comment on the subject when you gave us a choice to say how will this be a success, this project of language digitization. So I will go for, or I'll advocate for the for the decentralization of the opportunities, employment opportunities to the young people. We cannot run away from basic needs, as we cannot run away from technology because it's inevitable. So having said that, there are many projects that can arise when there are incentives. There are a lot of language practitioners, qualified language practitioners sitting at home. So I think if this can be amplified, that at least these opportunities, now that we are working with computer science department, those ones are regarded as high-skilled Oscar skill department. So I think we will do away with this stigma of being language practice being underrated, because it has been for a long time. Hence, the Constitution stipulates 12 official languages, of which it is not implemented when this career or this field is not considered enough. So mine is to advocate for that employment opportunities to at least qualified language practitioners, because everyone in South Africa, we have a lot of data participants because everyone speaks a particular language. This also involves multilingualism. Because it's a shame that in South Africa, an official language in South Africa is foreign to me, but I'm also a South African. I also know English and my language. That is a shame. So hence I'm saying those organizations I heard from Pansal, Pesadila, to name a few, we can even integrate or work with the public sector to increase the opportunities for employment so that this can be indeed a success. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's just been a new hand from the lady, and then I'll end with you.
Should I just put it here?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Olile Njangase. I'm from the Tshwane University of Technology. I am a lecturer there. I teach a module called Language and Translation Practice. I am currently a PhD student here at UP in the linguistics department. I am studying
or basically I'm looking at challenges that translation students face when using CAT tools, computer assisted, translation tools. Maybe raising here this topic, or maybe looking at it from a translation perspective, maybe to just differentiate here the two. CAT tools, you actually work on the tool yourself as a translator. So unlike machine translation that does the translation for you, and as the translator, you obviously will do some editing here and there. A CAT tool, you add the data in there. You must do the translation, but it just helps you with retaining the memory. So if there is a sentence that you have translated, it will keep it so that the next time the similar or the same sentence appears, it will show up. So basically, it's still a human being that is translating the whole thing. I'm just wondering from the team here to say, do you guys currently have a tool that you are currently maybe hoping that in this room, maybe as people in this room, we can all work together in digitizing our indigenous languages? Do you maybe have a tool that, maybe to make an example, say maybe you have a tool like ChatGPT, a tool where if I, as a translator, and I'm translating something mhlampe from English to isiZulu, I can use mhlampe, and because at the moment these tools are not really that good, right? I mean, to those who translate or do some translation sometimes, you see that when you translate a certain paragraph in Google Translate, like there's a lot of editing that you need to do. And we use that, even though it's not good, but we still use that just to add the data in this app or in this tool. And I'm saying this because, Doc, earlier you mentioned that you are requesting that the people in this room maybe find a way to answer. I think your question directly was, how can we as the community help in digitizing languages? And I think this would be one of the perfect things that we can do. If you already have a tool in mind, we all just use this tool. It doesn't have to be perfect. The isiZulu that I put there doesn't have to be perfect, but just so we have, the vocabulary starts building up, just so the grammar structure starts building up in these tools. I want to believe this is how everything that we see as perfect, especially in the other languages, started. And finally, I think, Doc, I apologize if I forgot your name, sorry. But earlier you mentioned something about having different varieties or of languages. And if we're going to go back to that discussion, we will take a year trying to find a way in terms of what language or which dialect do we put in the system or that tool. How about for now, if we have a way forward, we use the ones that are currently standardized as standard in South Africa. The standardized isiZulu is the one that we use. The standardized Setswana is the one that we know that Sipitori is there. We know that quite a number of people use Sipitori. But for now, because we're trying to maybe, just get the project rolling, to get the project going. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you so much. Please be brief. We need to.
Thank you so much. Just two brief points. One is to answer your question earlier on compensation. You asked the question, and I don't think anyone addressed it.
Running away from money.
So I think personally, my opinion is that the compensation in building these AI tools shouldn't be a one-time payment to someone that comes and does in the community that does a translation to you. But you can do that, but it's not really the most sustainable thing. I think compensation in the grand scheme of things, will lie in opening up that access to knowledge for communities, knowledge that is beneficial for people, and also creating new opportunities, be it in business or work, in whatever model that you'll be creating. So that's my viewpoint on compensation. And something else here that I want to comment on is that what today's workshop has revealed, and also working with the data science group has shown me, is that there is a very apparent gap in the representation, or rather the misrepresentation, of African languages in the digital space. And there is no other solution than us in addressing this matter, in addressing this gap. The solution lies here with us. It lies in spaces like this, in dialogues like this, in projects that my colleagues here were engaged in. So we shouldn't really rely on someone else, a pie in the sky, to come and rescue us, but then we are the heroes in this story. So yeah, that's what I wanted to comment on there.
Okay, we have closing remarks from our panelists. Yeah. We have two hands online. Yes. Can we attend to the two hands online? Do I just unmute? There's I will start with Melaku, since Abi had already given the remarks. Melaku, then Dr. Abi.
Oh, go ahead, Melaku. Okay, maybe not. Okay. Abby, you can go ahead for now.
Yeah, I'm sure you can hear me. Thanks, everyone. I think this is a very interesting workshop. And I really wanted to thank the organizer for this, because one important thing that is coming out of here is that we're basically just building and sharing idea on sharing idea on building upon our shared problems. And our shared problem is also, how do we improve the existing large language model with that we're able to have African language representation. So that's very, very interesting for me, and thanks for everyone. But in some of the questions that was asked so far, someone was asking about the tools and all that. I think one of the things that the DFSI has done so far, we have a tool like Mafako or something like that. Prof can help me in that, which have to do with terminology, South African terminology, so that all these specialized word, phrases, and expressions that you are using in your script writing can be able to, you have them in various languages of South Africa. And you are the people that we actually welcome to help us to be able to improve that particular type of tool that we're trying to develop in the lab. There's also another tool that we have that I think we developed, and we're also improving it, that also had to do with translations of African languages. And everyone that is also an expert or domain or linguistics in this particular type of language also have the opportunity to participate and check the translation. And if that particular model that is being translated or the word that is being translated is not correct, you can always have that opportunity to give a feedback into that particular. So in summary, what I'm trying to say is that, number one, thank you for organizing this. And I think we're actually enhancing on the same domain problem that also, which is the foundation of DFSI, is how do we get African language representation and testing with all the large language models. Secondly, we're also trying to open this opportunity to everyone that is available here in terms of your volunteering, if you can help us to be able to evaluate most of the tools that we're bringing out of the lab. And your input will be very, very much important to us to be able to get that tools out there. Thanks.
We might reach out to some language practitioners sitting out here with some of the tools we are working on. Please open the room and accommodate us. Of course, no compensation. For now. For now. But we're just building our languages. Last remarks from our panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this thought-provoking questions, dialogue. As I said, when you sit here, you get a chance to reflect, I am now thinking about Prof. Shaima's address about the do's, the don'ts, the gray areas. And for me, I think it's very clear about compensation. This is something that we've been saying even in poetry, that you cannot tell people that we are exposing them when you're exploiting them, because also these are young people we're speaking about who have to earn a living, who have to exist in communities that need money. So hence we're saying we're going to contact you. Yes, for now, the reserves are low, but when things get okay, we're definitely going to do the right thing. And I think that should be a mode of working. And let's just work together and, digitize our languages. Ke a leboga.
Okay. Okay. To sum up already what Dr. Chidi said, digitization is not about translation. It is about cultural preservation. It is about identity. It is about sovereignty. It's about making our language to the digital era. So let us make as a community just engage. What I mean by true community engagement means just building technology with community, not just for them. So let us engage the youth, the elders who are the keepers of the language, and let us make sustainability on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I will close with a quote from Leonardo I. The future is not something we enter, it is something we create. So as we live today as Africans who are in digitization of our languages, let us just remember that the digitization is shaped by the choices and the contribution we make today. Thank you so much. I will give to Prof. Vukosi for closing remarks.
Okay, thank you. But sorry, running around. We have just some fires in the background. Thanks everybody for coming. I think this is a great, a great milestone for us. If you go back to the beginning of this project and thinking, how do we actually really engage with community? These questions are hard. People stay away from them, but they are worth working to answer. I will put a few comments in to some of the questions that came that were direct. Look, we are looking to figure out ways that we enable collaboration across all of our different institutions in a much better way. It's very hard if you think about red tape first. It's very easy if you remove it, but then there must also be protections for individual researchers. But at the same time, we must have a dynamic environment that allows people to innovate and think about innovation. That's number one. Number two, the question on compensation. Yes, this has been why we've been also collaborating with law here at the university on how do we then enable that as content gets created, it gets shared, it's in such a way that's equitable. And we're hoping that that's starting to get better. So one of the things that you will see from Data Science for Social Impact is that we do have a default license now, which is NOODL, NOODL, the Nolata Obodo Open Data License. And one of the things that that license does is that it says, if you are coming from a developing country, you can use the content almost on a share-like basis, but for commercial, non-commercial. If you're coming from a developed country, it's only for non-commercial reasons. And if you want to go into a commercial use of that content or data, then you must talk to the community that created that data in terms of what beneficiation is. These are some of the things we're trying to do so that our language resources don't get locked in because people are afraid. Because people are afraid of sharing because they're worried that somebody else is going to figure out how to beneficiate my language and I'm not part of that process. So that is one of the things that we did, and you'll see the data we've released in the last year or so is all under that license. Why? You can talk all you want, but action is the thing that you need to do. We don't know where it ends, but you have to try. Right, in that space. And at the same time, as we're designing new projects, you think about how you you design compensation inside of the processes on that. On the other side, you do have that, there's still, I think there was a conversation that also Shaima put up of people who want to volunteer and put their time because they're really interested in making sure that the language is represented, but then also they're learning how these types of systems work, going back, I think, to the computer-aided translation. Yes, we do have systems at the moment that are maybe more towards just testing for translation, because here at the university with the library, we have translation of abstracts for PhDs into isiZulu, Afrikaans, and Sepedi. And then the reason we're involved is that we're benchmarking how well does machine translation or the AI-driven translation compare to professional translators? Because we're trying to give information to say, people who just say, no, I'll take content and then I'll put it into a machine translation system, don't actually understand that there's such a big gap. So what we did is that we said, no, we will work with the library. We help them on their process of translating with professional translators, but then we are also then able to benchmark. And one of the things that we're doing, because we have a big project led by Dr. Idris, who's probably online or might have left now, on building a large language model that's Pan-African this year, there's a number of languages that we're working on. And these are the types of things that we need assistance with, that people can come in and you can join the project and you will be a co-author on the paper once everything is sorted out, is to say, no, you can look at some of the things that might be either collected or machine created, but then you're coming in and saying, I am an expert in this language, and I can tell you that this is right, this is wrong, this is how we can improve this, so that by the time those systems come out, they become better towards also the use cases you're interested in, right? But then we do then have to say, yes, compensation is not in one way. Also, it's what is it that you learn? What is it that you can then add to your scholarly work or your professional work? We're finding ways that all of these things are taken into account. It's not just narrowly. And then the last piece and saying is that I learned early on when I started at UP with one program. I don't know if they still have the junior, like I think it was a Young Turks fellowship program. Don't wait. Start. I think a lot of the times we think that we need so much resources to do something. For a lot of the things that we typically talk about, I've seen people that was talking about Sigular, the community Zulubedu. They have a Kilubedu bilingual dictionary that was created by young people who came together and just said, we start. They didn't wait. In these types of things. And then the part, yes, we understand is that we also, people like ourselves inside universities should be helping to provide some of the infrastructure that assists you. As I said, you must be protected, but you must also be allowed to innovate. And we're trying to find these spaces. And these are not systems that we're not saying that this replaces other formalized systems that are there within our ecosystem when it comes to language, technology, all those things. They are multiplier. They're supposed to be adding to a dynamic system. There will be Pansal, who sits, they've got their mandate that they're supposed to be doing. There's national centers like Sarila that are sitting, they've got their mandate. There's more distributed institutions like Masakani, they have their mandate. All of these have to be working and connecting to each other. And you share what you can at the time. And the point is to go in and say, like, it is not, we're so small, right? But we have such a big challenge. We have up to 3,000 languages on this continent, but we have so many few of us. As such, you need to think very differently on how you work to be able to give as many of those languages a fighting chance. Yes, we might be given that for some communities will say, it's okay, please let my language die. That's where we want it to end, and that's fine. And there's some who are saying, no, we want to really move into very good digitization that makes that we thrive in our in our next generations, we also have to let that go. With that, I'll share. I have a preprint that is out that's under review on looking at this challenge. It's called I call it the scarcity annotation paradox. In that, for the languages that need the most help, we have the fewest skilled people. And this has created a challenge, which I think today's workshop has covered, where you're saying you cannot go and exploit communities because you're saying, oh, we don't have people, so we will just exploit those parts. You have to find and create an environment that then it's how are we both winning? How are we both gaining during this? Because that makes sure that tomorrow when your one project is done, you can come back and go into the room and say, let's do the next project together. Not that people start closing doors and saying, we don't want you here. In that part, it's not something that just only is facing you, it's not facing just Africans, it's across the world. This is the challenge that we're facing. So thank you for coming. I think I'll hand over to Tushelezo in terms of directing on what's happening next. And unfortunately, some of us can't stay for long. As I said, fires keep on getting bigger in the background.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'll say it again, Kasepedi, Lindirile Motu. You've made me a human. It is lost in translation liquid. But you get what I mean. So, so we've come to the end of our program and we have lunch. So let's go have lunch. Let's go engage, exchange contacts and keep in touch. Yeah, Ken.